Hey, Lou Crowley, you know what you won? Lou Crowley, congratulations. You're watching the right television show because with one phone call, one correct answer that it was Seattle, you won Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis, and who knows who else will show up at the Phoenix Symphony Saturday when you get a chance to join all those musicians and the Rat Pack. Don't you wish you were going?
Oh, man, yes.
See, now there's an example of show business genius, right? The superstars get together at the Sands Hotel and make history.
It's what life is about.
Well, is it, though, the happenstance of those things happening, or can you make genius happen in your life?
You can make genius happen, Pat, because genius is in all of us. We've been born geniuses, but our environments kind of suppress that genius on the inside of us. But if you tap into that genius potential, you can become genius.
Yeah, but you do understand, of course, that when we're talking about genius, and you're out there saying, I hear you, you're saying, not my kid, now my kid averaging C's and D's. Wait a minute, you're going to question Dr. Will Moreland, huh? He's the guy who's written a number of books, including Genius Potential, and if there's an authority on this subject, it's Dr. Will. But what about that kid? What about the kid who's not getting very good grades and has been told he's not going to go anywhere academically?
Well, I was that kid.
Oh, really?
I was that kid. You know, I barely graduated from high school because I was just unfocused. And a lot of our teenagers right now, they're in an environment that doesn't inspire them because they haven't tapped into their genius potential. You know, I'm a public speaker. And in regular high schools, they don't teach public speaking. So I wasn't able to tap into my genius potential until I got out of high school. So what did I do for those 4 years? I wasn't interested in school. It didn't interest me. And so I kind of millied around and just kind of barely got through until I graduated, got into life, and really tapped into my genius, Pat.
Okay. Tell me about that tapping moment or that tapping period. Because if you were like so many of the rest of us in high school and then you tapped into your genius, something had to happen.
Right. Well, what really happened, I really began to question why I was here, and I think everybody goes through that. Why am I here? And
Were you doing that spiritually?
I did it spiritually. You know, my upbringing was that of a Christian, and so I literally prayed and I asked God, why am I here? And I started to read the Bible, and I came across a scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7. And if you're familiar with the text, it's the Apostle Paul, and he's talking, and he says, everybody has their own proper gift from God. And I began to think about that everybody has their own gift. That's what I call your genius potential. And so when I began to ask, what is mine? You know, I say in the book that your genius potential leaves clues. And I began to look back throughout my life. What did people say I was good at? It was talking. It was sharing information. One of my high school teachers, he said, Will, you have great leadership potential. But I didn't recognize it back then, and no one in my environment said, Will, you're going to be a leader one day. But when I began to ask God, why am I here? And he said, hey, listen, you're here to teach leadership principles and help people live in victory every day. And
I always felt sorry for Paul because he kept writing to the Corinthians and they never answered. You know, I mean, for crying out loud, send all of that mail out, you know, and you're still waiting for the postman to come by with something from the Corinthians.
Well, it didn't get them, but it got to me. That scripture, it really touched me, Pat.
Where can people find your book? Where can people find you?
You can go simply to www.willmoreland.com, or I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I tweet, I'm on Twitter, I'm everywhere. Just put in Dr. Will and you can find me.
Do you make appearances on a regular basis locally for people?
We do, and matter of fact, we're just launching our book seminar here in Phoenix. It's the Genius Potential Seminar. May 2nd and 3rd. Go to the website, to the events page. All the information is on there. We're going to have a great time. People are getting ready to release their genius.
Aren't you glad I asked?
I am glad you asked, Pat. That's why you're a genius at what you do.
But I see you're talking about genius, though, and it seems to me at a different definition than when we apply it to Einstein.
Yeah.
Mathematically a genius. To Steve Jobs,
right.
A marketing genius.
Right. Picasso.
Do we have that kind of genius inside us, or are those unique gifts?
No, we all have that. And what you find, and I've done a study on geniuses, and what you'll find out is, and I talk about it in the book, they've just tapped into their passion. What makes them come alive? this makes you come alive. I saw you when you walked in here, smile on your face. You enjoy doing this show. This is what makes you feel alive. And we all have that if we're not afraid to acknowledge it. You know, when we look at Oprah Winfrey, she does exactly what everyone else does, is talk. But she found out that that was her genius. And so she began to develop that, her speaking skills, her connecting with her guests. And now we see the manifestation of her genius. And we all have that if you're willing to put in the work and the diligence and the patience. You know, we go through what I call the stages in the book. Everyone starts off incompetent. When I began to speak, I had the ums, the ands, and all of the fillers. Then you go from incompetence to competence. You get kind of confident about what you're doing. And then from competence, you get good. People start calling you good. Then we go to great. And then you're on the cusp of genius.
I will bet you, and we've never talked about this, I will bet you that you will agree that if everybody in our audience, by the time this show is over, just a few minutes, would consciously stop saying, you know, every fourth word, that they would be closer to genius.
They would. I agree.
Well, we do those crutches, we do those fillers, and I think that it upsets the flow of conversation and communication.
It's when you get comfortable with who you are and you get passionate about what you're talking about, all that goes away. You know, I wouldn't have come here and talked about, neurophysics. It would make me uncomfortable. But talking about making people better in life and recognizing their genius, we can do this for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, Pat.
Yeah, you comfortable talking about the get-together, the seminar in May?
Oh, we are.
What date?
It's May 2nd and the 3rd.
Where?
Starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Embassy Suites in Tempe.
Okay, well, you know what? I know absolutely for fact that you don't even have to be a genius yet in order to get in touch with Will Moreland International, because you can read the website and you can also read the book that Will